the March Omaha Linux Users Group. I am your host, a systems engineer, Gaming Institute. My name is John Lars.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Hi, John.
See how I mixed that up a little bit? Oh, let's see. I have no mouse. I don't remember the keyboard command if that is. Woo! So, know what? Okay. Hey, guess what? Canonical. Oh, I misspelled it. Did I? No.
I don't know, but it looks right.
Mobile. Yeah. It mounts to tablet OS, the same like their phone OS. Does anybody play with it?
Don't have a device that supports it.
Hmm?
Don't have a device that supports it. I would. They're adding a lot more devices to the support list.
Yes. I saw the Zoom on the list, which is nice because my Zoom isn't doing anything right now.
It is really, really early.
Well, it's still early for everything.
No, I mean this is like the Firefox OS is like light years ahead. Or
Really?
the problem is the canonical OS, tablet OS thing, is already in QML, and Unity's already using Gnome's libraries, JDK and stuff. So they're going to have to re-architect all this stuff to use that instead. So when I've watched old videos, and so far it looks pretty good. The lock screen doesn't work yet.
Maybe that's why they announced their mirror display server. I don't know if you read up on any of that debate. They've since removed the criticisms of Wayland, which is their own product. Got a little bit of an infighting, I guess. The IRC channel was apparently aflame for a bit, but they did get some constructive work done. I only read up about it on Pronix. The Raspberry Pi is 1 year old. How many people have a Raspberry Pi?
It's on its way.
It's on its way?
Yeah.
What do you plan to do with it?
Stuff.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I have a case made of Legos. I don't have any other case, so that's the way to go. Aaron, what are you using yours for?
To help keep my house right now. I'm planning on trying to get Freedom Box working on it, but I don't know more on that yet.
So not a thermostat, just powered up from right.
Yeah, just the
Okay.
tiny little bit heated.
Linus is using GNOME Free again.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting to read his comments about it. He says that GNOME Tweak Tool and the Frippery extensions essentially make everything fine. He says they should be included by default. So.
Oh yeah, I saw that Google Plus post.
Yeah. Then somebody said, well 3.8 will be great then for you. It's like, no, I don't want fallback mode. Just include the extensions by default. And as we just read a moment ago, Miguel has left Linux for Apple OS X. Ouch. So,
Good.
doesn't surprise me.
Okay. OS X is pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty. But
Yeah.
it's Unix, the same thing. But is he going to try to put mono on OS X?
He already has.
He already has?
Yeah.
I did not know
His
that.
new thing is he's trying to sell Xamarin, which is the OS X, this mono that lets you compile mono apps on iOS, iPod, and iPhones and Android.
So that's where he's trying to develop.
That's what his company is, and that's what he's got left after Novell and kick him out.
How does Apple make that?
I don't mind it.
Really? I thought they were
It makes it native, it compiles it to native code. As long as you compile native code, the final analysis doesn't care. If you try to put CLR on it, it might not be as happy.
That would be fun. That would be an interesting lawsuit to follow.
So, Q&A. Anybody have any questions? Sorry I didn't get the meeting announcement out early enough. But that was to the list. It was on the website. Just didn't have a topic, which I didn't know about until about 5 o'clock tonight. So, let's see how well I do. What other things have been going on besides the items I listed? No? I guess it's like trying to release a movie this time of year. If they do that, it usually generally means the movie's bad. didn't do very well.
It only did 28 million its first weekend, but it cost 200 million to make, so they're calling it a flop.
It earned less money than John Carter of Mars did in its first weekend.
Hey, not bad on John.
I've seen 3 minutes of John Carter of Mars. I'm not counting the trailer. Came across it on cable this weekend at my brother's, and that was pretty much it. I said, how come they're all speaking English? I said, no, they're speaking Martian. I said, all right, change the channel. So, that was fun. So who wants to speak in April?
I thought we were.
You are?
Yeah, I thought I said that on the list.
Ah, well, you know,
You
I have
just
a hard
mentioned-
time reading the list sometimes.
You just
You
responded.
I did? Good. So, Sam. I just have to make sure you're in my spreadsheet so I know. That's, like I said, external storage. It will always help you. Hey, look, we're live. So I threw this together. This isn't really anything exciting. You probably all know about virtualization, right? Raise your hand.
I know about it.
You know about it.
You're using it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You are.
Yeah.
I love it.
Shoot. I only have half my slides, so
The rest are all virtual.
exactly. That's a good way to think of it.
Nice.
Virtualization of the OS, hardware, storage, or network. The ability to run an isolated OS on a host, utilize the somewhat idle processing power of your desktop. I don't know why I wrote that. It's an interesting way of putting it. The somewhat idle.
It's not always idle.
I will blame that on the time zone change.
Fair enough.
There are a few types of virtualization. There is the full virtualization. There's no modification to the guest OS. I suppose most of us are pretty familiar with how all that works. Partial, that there has to be some modification, usually a driver or something like that you put in, or even kernel changes. And paravirtual, which is like the old Zen. So the guests run their own domain, but they're kind of dependent upon the host OS. To the guest OS or to the host? Well, so like if you're running a Linux kernel, it might use parts of the Linux kernel in the guest domain.
That's not actually entirely true.
Well, you'll have to correct me that.
DOM0 is actually a virtual
Okay, that is true.
machine
Yes.
also. What it
I keep
does is-
forgetting about that on the list.
It's the I/O portion of it. It helps with the disk I/O.
I'm gonna burn this through fast. So, some uses are typically servers, desktop storage. I forgot to write networking. But you are familiar with Amazon, Rackspace, Linode. How many people have Linodes? How many people know that the OLEG server is on Linode? Desktops, Craig did a presentation in October of 2010.
Yeah, it's been a while back.
We're talking about virtualization of desktops, and that was with some hardware vendor doing demos. Got some pretty good cheesecake that night.
Yeah, and I can't find the.
You can't,
I
well,
can't
it was
find the
Eagle.
information. I know. It's not on their website.
Oh. Well, maybe that's
They've kind of been cutting back on where they, because they were getting
where they
crazy.
concentrate.
So they've kind of cut back to where they're doing. So they've kind of stuck to VDI as their primary, the VMware virtual desktops.
Storage, VMware and Dell is usually the bigger one in that area. Do we name any others?
EMC.
EMC. NetApp doesn't, is that typically considered storage virtualization?
It can be used for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can Nimble.
Okay.
Nimble's a kind of a neat one.
But that's all like SAN technology that you're layering on the other thing on top of.
Right.
Okay.
But we can share the
And the virtualization of the network, I remember, I'm trying to remember the earliest reference that I from that. IBM had did something with their mainframes where they were doing in-memory networking. That was pretty cool. So that was part of their Z architecture back in 2000.
Well, we've all heard of
Back when they
SAT.
said they could do gigabit connections in memory. Now imagine
Oh,
today,
memory
so
to
that
memory
yeah,
to
back
memory.
then, yeah. So like in the on the mainframe version, you'd have an LPAR, logical partition. So it's essentially their version of virtualization. So you have a processor split up into logical partitions, and you can use your own virtual network for those partitions to talk to each other. You wouldn't have to go outside to come back in.
Yeah.
Because hardware networking adapters for mainframes cost a heck of a lot of money. So, and if you wanted to like upgrade your mainframe, they'd give you like a floppy disk you stick in, and it's faster. I saw that once.
Oh, 2000.
Somebody was upgrading a mainframe for a company I work for, and they said, "Okay, this is the part I'm going to upgrade the mainframe. I need you all to leave." We came back and it was done. So all I know is it involved a floppy disk. Well, it's the same thing. What is the Intel processor that they do that with? Like one of the i3s, you can spend $50, and it's unlock code that you can put into the processor, and it unlocks faster speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I don't remember if this is the number, like a 3620 or it's 3020.
So I don't think they're releasing any of those now. or
No,
that
I think it was only
short-lived.
one processor.
Too much backlash.
Yeah.
It's $50, I think, for the upgrade on that, something like that.
Which essentially just was a plastic card. So
You know Nexus, the Cisco Nexus platform?
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's essentially running VMware.
Is it like licensed?
Yeah, they work with VM. Yeah,
Do you know if there's any kernel developers doing that?
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that platform can be, you can essentially, it can be a web server. I mean, you do whatever you want. It's kind of bizarre. A lot of money. It's kind of bizarre. It's
Yeah.
very expensive.
Just you virtualize to save money, but it costs money, a lot of money. It's just I know you can fill a lot of space with things, but typically you're trying to cut down your rack space.
Yeah, some of those are like full rack. Yeah.
I heard that they're retiring Firefly out at UNO, PKI.
There was an email
Yeah.
on the list about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard it from Adam. Sorry, I can't read every message on the list. I know it was slow there for a while. Yeah, remember, how many days off have I had the last month? Too many. Actually used my vacation. So who are your players? We heard VMware, Zen, which is
Citrix.
Hyper-V is Microsoft's KVM Linux kernel virtual machine, and everyone's favorite VirtualBox.
What about OpenVIVO?
Okay. Who does that?
The Open Virtualization Project, something like that. It's based off CentOS.
That's not overt. That's part of the function of it.
Maybe, I don't know. I just remember.
Because there's libvirt, overt. And it's sort of like they're trying to make a transparent layer to manage any virtualization technology from the same management interface.
Yeah.
I know at one time they actually had their own project to do virtualization. So
I think I do remember them from one of the podcasts I listened to.
I looked into using it for a bit. Didn't get too far.
Did it look complicated?
No, I just didn't have the time.
Oh, okay. I will mention parallels in virtual PC.
Where's UML?
It's
You want me to write ZOS up here too for IBM?
No, use Pro Linux.
just never really see it mentioned.
Oh, it's out of the box, it's one of the better ones that works with the thing, because it lets you run the kernelized thing. It's not as popular, but it does a lot of things for you.
Okay.
Pano.
What?
Pano.
Pano.
Wasn't it Pano?
Thanks.
I do remember.
Yeah.
I knew I'd eventually find it. I wasn't gonna let this go.
Sounds like Plano, you know, those plastic shells.
Didn't
Yeah, it
no
was
wonder.
Pano.
I don't know. I'm
Those are those little, they were little boxes about this big. And you plug keyboard, video, and mouse into it.
I remember watching the,
Maybe speakers and you plug back to a
Panel
or
logic.
to a USB drive.
They also had a laptop that used, but that was a Citrix, Weiss laptop. So it wiped itself every time.
wow.
Of course, now
Okay.
Chromebooks, you could do the same thing, so.
Panologic, as of January 14th of this year, sold all of its rights, inventory, and
So they're pretty much gone.
9 yards to RODC Holdings.
Holdings company? Well, sounds like they exited the market.
Wow.
By the way, OpenVZ or OP is also known as Open Virtuoso.
Okay, let's write down these ones I'm missing. UML, Open, VZ, COS.
Chirrut. That's what OpenVZ partially is.
Yeah.
KVM, QEMU, which is the most
So
popular
there's-
one right now.
You know, I always,
KVM is gonna take over, man.
here's the problem I have
Take it
with
over.
QEMU, right? It's this. QEMM.
That doesn't keep you up, does it?
No, but that was a great combination today. Speaking of virtualization, I should have brought that up too. Desk view. I used that to run my bulletin board for several years.
I had DeskView X back in the day. X
That
was
would've
the
been
best
nice.
boss like a man.
That was cool. But I could switch over to my terminal program and dial out while people were still dialed in my BBS. I had 2 phone lines.
So there's.
you're dating
No,
yourself,
pretty serious.
John.
I know I'm dating myself.
Someone's got to.
I took my BBS down in 1997. Almost over 10 years. So. QEMU. I'll just leave it at that.
Which
So-
Zen uses,
Computing's
by the
another
way.
one that's
You wanna
interesting.
look at the,
End computing?
N computing?
Yeah.
they're not virtualization though.
They're not?
No, you have a computer that has the right licenses and you install this program and it basically provides, a friend of mine, actually used this in a church I went to. And what he thinks is it's just some weird modification to the X11 protocol.
Which it
That sounds like NX.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, but allowing for, actually plugging in, say, a flash drive even. Sharing, yeah, a flash drive or even a local USB printer kind of thing.
That sounds similar to
Now,
the multi.
they have
log-
devices. They have little devices you can purchase that are dumb terminals to get you back.
What, for, and computing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do. You install the client program on your central server,
Yeah.
and get them, just plug them in, tell them where they go, and they work.
So it's like terminal services.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Alright.
Yeah.
LTSP. Very similar. I have never used Parallels or Virtual PC. I think you've used Parallels.
Yeah.
on the
Parallels
Mac.
wasn't bad.
But that was seamless though. It was a window by itself using the API.
Basically, you use, Kimber, I get confused between the two, between the VMware Fusion and Parallels, but it's like,
They
Cohesion.
bought Parallels, didn't they?
No.
And Cohesion, I think, is,
Cohesion's where
yeah.
it looks like it's running
yeah, runs it on
on
the
your
desktop.
machine. You don't have a desktop
Right,
running there.
right.
It's
They-
just, it
the
looks
app
like
is
an
in its
app
own
is running.
window, right.
Yeah. It's
Your
cool and fun.
Outlook looks like it's running on your Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only gripe I have with that is that it tags all the extensions on your Mac, and if you inadvertently have a file that's tagged with an extension for that to run, it'll fire up VMware and
Yeah.
So did VMware make Parallels or did
No.
No.
Parallels is its own company. Parallels was the first one. VMware saw what was going
what's theirs called?
Fusion.
That's
So
the
that's
Mac,
VMware
that's the
Fusion.
Mac version.
That's the Mac version.
Okay.
Sorry,
I know.
that's where I'm
They
looking
got,
right now.
I can't understand half their product names.
Oh, good. Marketing, yeah. Who understands that?
Well,
I'm not-
ESX, ESXi.
What's the difference?
One costs a shitload of money, the other one, oh, sorry, and the other one doesn't.
Not necessarily anymore. They've relabeled their ESX stuff to like ESXi. So now you
Right.
install the ESXi and just license it to bump it up.
Yeah, but you don't get any shared storage or anything like that, that's the problem.
Just turning stuff on.
I use it at home.
We actually had problems upgrading our Cisco call managers, and I had to throw together a quick VMware box so we could put the call manager virtual software on that, because we had such an old version of call manager, they couldn't upgrade us. So we had to have an intermediate to upgrade from. So took it from this, copied the database over, upgraded it from this one to the new one, and then dropped it onto the new service, and then made the cut over. It was a hell of a week last week.
Yeah.
Oh, that was last week?
Yes.
Oh.
That was Friday night. Well, all week and then Friday night.
Cisco call
Pretty impressive.
manager.
So, I know everybody's had more experience with bigger stuff. VirtualBox is the quick and dirty,
Yeah.
do everything you want. Does it run on Solaris? I can't remember. I think it does. I didn't look at their website. GUI web, which is an extra package, and command line interface. Anymore, I've been doing a lot more command line stuff with VirtualBox than with the GUI.
And it does a lot like my laptop.
VirtualBox?
No, it doesn't want to install. I tried using Yum to install it, and it complained about some kernel module or something. Tried installing that.
Well, did you install a machine with the VT extensions?
Are you doing it out of the repo?
Yeah,
Or
I'm using
the VirtualBox repo or the Fedora
Fedora's.
repo?
Fedora's.
So the OSE version.
I think, yeah.
That's the only one that's
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
Fedora repo.
Yeah.
So it's probably having a problem with Kmod. And that there was a new
I-
kernel last week. Was it this weekend? I think 3.8.1 came out. So there may not be the recompiled module for it yet.
Yeah.
If you
I
get-
didn't look too much. It was just kind of a passing thing. I've had it on computers. I had it before I upgraded to 18, but 18 was
Are you still on 18?
yeah. I haven't gone to 18.
Has it gotten better?
Well, I used the KDE spin.
Oh,
And pretty quickly switched to the awesome window manager.
You know the packager for the KDE is on our list, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah, Rex Tinker.
Oh, okay.
He's at UNM.
Okay.
So, you might, maybe you should ask him a question. So, yeah, he was on the Fedora board, I think, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk, he's kind of like, he doesn't post much, so. I know he went down to FudCon in January, which I would have liked to gone to.
Like I said, it's not an important thing. I have it right now. I don't need it.
I usually download the one from
Directly.
the VirtualBox website and then just recompile the kernel module myself. I'm about to use my Windows VM because it's tax time. That's the only purpose I use it for.
Can't you just use like GNU Cache?
My uncle is a CPA, and I take my stuff to my uncle after I get done for verification. So, and they live in the world of QuickBooks.
I'm pretty sure GNU Cache can support for that.
Really?
I think so.
But it's not like tax specific. I'd have to be putting stuff in all the time. I thought there was some open source tax.
There may
Should have done that as a presentation. Should look that one up.
Take
Huh.
a look at their
That'd be
software
great.
directory. I'm
Would be.
sure they have something.
I think they do. I'll have to look. So, it's pretty easy to use. There are a few gotchas. He really likes to have a CPU with virtualization. VT extension. What do they call that? VTX? Is that the newer, or is that the AMD version?
This is, well.
You gotta look it up.
I think this is VT.
Yeah.
I think it is
remember it's just
VT too.
VT extensions. Virtual technology.
Yeah. We got
VTD?
I think
No,
that's
it's VTX.
VTX. Okay.
VTD sounds like
VT
something you get
dash
in
X.
Korea.
Right. So there are some nice CPUs out there that don't support it, and there's some CPUs that do, but you have to have the BIOS that will let you use it.
Turn it on.
Didn't you have a Toshiba once that had the extension with the BIOS didn't work, Aaron?
Yes, I do. It's still.
You still have it, huh?
Yes. I just put OpenSUSE on it to punish it.
I've actually got a
It's
server
bad.
board that takes the chips that have VT extensions.
It's not
Can't
built.
turn it on in the BIOS.
Yeah. It's, well, Toshiba does that, HP did a lot of that too.
Luckily, mine
HP
didn't.
did a lot of that too.
Is
It's
supportive.
a,
So.
it's an Asus board. But
Fortunately, that's VMware. It's the vendor you think of when someone says virtualization.
yeah.
Yeah. Enterprise. So I've taken a week-long course in VMware, and I've
Yeah.
never used it.
Did on
vSphere.
It's all.
Hey, you were in the same class. That's
Cloud.
right.
Cloud now. They don't talk about virtualization anymore. It's all cloud now.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever.
It's fluffy.
Okay, what's this? OVF.
Open virtualization format.
Exactly.
Open, will be what?
Open virtualization formula. You can export from the various VMs if they support the extension. You can export the machine and re-import it somewhere else.
You can export it. I mean, it's not gonna be successful.
It won't be importable on the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
one,
it
but
won't be successful, but it does export.
Says it exports.
I've got a VM that I had to get off of a sensor, and I have a backup of it. I think it's in like OVF format or something,
Mhm.
garbage like that.
Nothing reads it.
Well, you know what it is, don't you? It took me about a week, but I figured out it's just a freaking tar ball broken up into a whole bunch of pieces.
It's like a big
So I just-
WinRAR.
You untar the little pieces and cat it all back together, and lo and behold, there it is.
Where you, H1
Yeah. Well, there's a Perl script out there to do it, but it doesn't work reliably.
VHD is the other one.
What about, you probably can't see the green very well.
See that better than I can the board.
Oh, that's terrible. Yay! P2V.
Physical to virtual.
How many people have done it successfully?
Same days.
Once
What kind of machines?
it was Citrix.
I'm in the OS.
Oh, Linux.
Okay.
Once.
Just once.
It was a kind of moment.
Oh, the machine started to, okay.
Asterisk box.
Really?
Yes. When we moved, that's what I did. I put it on Zenser.
Huh.
Using their tools.
That's cool.
Do you know they removed that in Citrix 6?
Really?
You used to be able to boot up off the CD on the Linux one. Can't do that anymore.
You got to use their little tool, right? And give it access.
It's actually annoying.
Yeah. You got to give root access to your box, and
Oh, because of the way it was like security.
it makes an image of it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to do that with a few machines here that need to be done.
Now, P2V for what platform? For what virtualization software?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, what are
Probably
they?
KVM.
So what hosts? I mean, or what guests?
I'm gonna try to virtualize a couple Windows boxes.
Oh,
Windows 2003. Doesn't work?
We've had all kinds of problems.
Usually it's the PCI stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, real good luck with Zenser.
Yeah. That's what we ended up doing.
Well, we're majority Zen. You know that, George. So
It's not hard to do with Zen.
Right.
Depends on how you want, how much pain you want to go through.
Who wants the pain?
as soon as I get a machine that has a VT processor, I'll probably wind up doing it.
And BIOS that supports it.
I hope so. Next round.
My laptop supports it, all things.
Yeah, see, I'm in the nonprofit world.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying, my laptop.
Things tend to trickle down, you know.
I'm still surprised my laptop supports it though.
Yeah,
That's a
good.
laptop. Doesn't seem like you'd be doing much with that, but,
Actually,
well, yeah, I can see it, but.
So if I get those 4150s, I'll be able to do that with those.
Okay. Cool. I saw something over the weekend. They were doing virtualization on ARM now. That sounds pretty interesting.
It's PV only though. It doesn't do HVM stuff.
Right.
Full hardware machines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they?
Just like that'll be what you use the Raspberry Pi.
How many ARM designs? Is the new ARM designs all have floating point?
No, it doesn't.
None of them do.
ARM, no, some do, some don't. ARM, the great thing about ARM is you can build an ARM out of the components and be whatever the hell you want to.
Oh, okay. So
You
it's
can
like
create an ARM chip
a
that
pluggable spec.
that has no floating point in it whatsoever. That's because the way they license it. So you can just license it from them.
Yeah, my
It's amazing.
pluggable cloud thing is like that.
Yeah, but I mean, they do truly amazing things with the ARM licensing. It's just astonishing. It's just like you go down and shop and go down the aisle and pick out what the hell you want.
Which reminds me, I went to Micro Center last week. That was an amazing little trip. They have everything. They had a whole aisle just for flash memory.
Nirvana.
It was.
Yeah.
I was there for like an hour and a half.
You've been to Fry's.
Yeah,
No.
It's sort of the same.
Yeah, Fry's is Mecca.
That's crazy.
You buy toilet paper, beef jerky, and this is CPUs all.
I hope you're not working on them all at the same time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we had a cola at San Jose and it was 3 blocks away.
A lot of visiting.
It's expensive.
You know, maybe I have been to a Fry's. I think there was one in Denver once, but
They saved our blood. We had fiber jumpers for crying out loud. Nobody else in town had them. In Silicon Valley.
Well, they created the V-Box. That's where they started.
Yeah.
They went down the aisles and pulled each one of the system apart.
What does Zeller use?
Cell has 9. If they don't sell it, you don't need it. That's their motto, I think.
Sell coffins. No, that's a Costco.
They'll sell you a really big server case, which you probably need.
unfortunately, I have not done any KVM stuff. But I knew somebody who did. Unfortunately, he's not coming to the meetings anymore. But, okay, and Aaron does too. He is working on it. That's cool. Is the tools strong enough to?
You know what you're doing. It's just, it's almost as bad as them. Well, it's better now.
Okay. At least for Zen, I only need to know like 3 commands. But,
If you use the OS packaged version of the hypervisor. I'm paranoid, I compile everything.
okay. So when you say Zen, are you talking Zen?
Open.
Open Zen.
Not the sensor.
Zen server being Citrix.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that it's no longer in CentOS 6,
That's okay.
is there any other distros that are shipping it?
Debian
Right.
and
Debian too.
They're still
Oracle is.
Oracle.
Oracle, that's their VM strategy.
Unbreakable.
Wow, that's all.
300% more efficient according to their old stuff they won't take off their website.
Maybe they should just virtualize Java. How many 0 days have there been in the last month? 3?
Well, did you see about the latest one?
Uh-uh.
Apparently they stole a certificate of new Java malware out that came out the same day as the latest.
Oh god. I just remember it said Java 6 update like 46. It's like glad I took it off my machine.
They don't update Java.
Are you running something for your specific Java?
No, I just don't use Java.
Then take it off.
Yeah.
Well, I should say, rarely do I use Java. On Linux, I think the only thing I use for Java is Mixnote for Evernote. Mixnote, it's a
Oh.
Evernote client. And
Did you reset your password?
yeah, well, they forced me to.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And on Windows, JEdit, because Emacs and Windows just don't play nicely.
We haven't done that for a while.
But
Who uses Emacs? Who's
Used to.
using VI?
Should say VIM.
Yes.
No girl who uses Emacs.
Hmm?
No girl who uses Emacs.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
Trying to get it done, but I like to say that's sexy, but it's not.
Pico user right here.
What's that? Pico?
User right
That was a
here.
long time ago. We don't bring.
He's moved up to Nano.
I used to use Ed too on DOS. What are you trying to say?
Did you ever use Sled on DOS?
Probably did. I used.
It was an amazing editor. When I was doing code edits for C, you could have up to like 7 individual windows open and copy and paste and jump between all of them in DOS.
There was Chris.
Wow.
Was a really nice one too.
Yeah.
For years.
Don't really have. Sorry to say that my presentation is pretty much that. I didn't have enough time to finish all the slides, and I'm just sort of rambling on.
I feel better on my talk now than last one.
Hey, I still have to watch yours.
It was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Make sure you turn it up.
I will. Well, it's still on that SD card, so I can do a gain on it and then repost it. Because I haven't moved it over. I haven't moved it over to YouTube yet.
I had it, the volume cranked all the way up, and as soon as it gets to one of those commercials, jumped up and.
Oh God. You know, with ad block, you don't really see the commercials because it goes off the commercials in the side frame of the page, and I don't think you get the commercials if you go to the OLUG site because it's embedded. I can't quite remember. I think you probably still do.
Was that on YouTube?
Hmm?
Was that on YouTube?
Okay. I'm trying to move them over. Apparently, for 3 months, I did not have the record setting set, and those videos didn't make it online. They streamed live, but they didn't go on. They didn't get recorded, but they are recorded on my SD card. The way the camera works is it streams it to an MTS file, this AVC HD, but it sees the first part and then it chunks at 2 gig and then starts again. I can't see the second part. It just shows a black screen. So I have to look at another video editing. Hmm?
Cat up together.
It doesn't work that way. It's not like MPEG streaming. It's a different stream. It's a different codec.
Okay.
I wish it was H.264. It'd be a lot easier. But when I did it with the Quiz Bowl last year, it worked fine. And I used OpenShot for that, to reference another presentation I did. That's come along pretty good. The more recent stuff's been pretty sharp. It's just that one hiccup I've got. And that's pretty much it.
PIVI are now up a bit more set. PIVI is open source video editing.
Yeah, I liked OpenShot because it's very similar to some of the other editors I've used. And the fact that it had all those options to generate graphics. It had all the, I can't remember it now. What's the copyleft? Creative Commons attribution screens for you. So.
Feedbacking again.
So what were you going to talk about next month again?
Amateur radio and Linux.
Amateur radio.
Which means you need to get
My
your
brother, Kelly, who sometimes listens, will probably find that very interesting. I think Aaron would too. My brother Kelly got my So his like really low. It's like W0 UQJ. It's a
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have my license. He does,
He
so
is your-
he has, so, well, he's gonna be part of the presentation, whether he likes it or not.
So does he have to be on the other end of the radio? So he doesn't have to see in the room, or
No, he has to, well, he'll have to be in the room.
is it like packet switching?
Not packet switching, but
You can do that. You can, yeah.
we're gonna, talk about, what is it? Just some, like, yeah, different software and even some of the,
Cool.
Or even if we can
some
see
libraries.
if we can talk to somebody in another state.
Well, you know, I could always tell my brother he's in Missouri. If he's got time, he'd probably connect. Oh, okay. Okay. He's totally Linux now. So.
Is he
Must have
running
been my
Debian?
influence.
Is he running Debian?
No, he's running Fedora and/or Ubuntu.
Because Debian was some of the best stuff for amateur radio. It actually, if you fire Synaptic, there's actually an option that's just the amateur radio.
Oh, the bands?
repository, yeah.
Okay.
It's actually, it's got just about everything in there. It's very well laid out. I mean, there's a lot of amateur radio people use Debian.
Cool.
It's just around the corner. It is.
You keep saying that.
They're down to 204 release candidate bugs. They could just ship it like some distributions have recently. Oh, they're actually trying to
Oh,
get it to
God.
the works.
Please.
So are they
Don't
gonna wait
don't
until
remind
it's
me.
bug free?
They ship when it's ready, man. They tend to be pretty tight about it with Debian. They don't like to have giant showstoppers, and their installer, the new installer, actually doesn't suck, which is also something you could not say about certain other hat-based ones. Has anybody installed the new Fedora from
Yeah.
scratch? Not for an update, not for
Yeah,
setup.
I did.
Did you figure out what it was going to do to your disk?
I did after, it took me some time, I ended up doing it on 2 machines on the same day.
Because it's great, because it says, I'm going to format your disk now. Could you give me some clue to what you're going to do? I might use the space available, I might use it all, I might just
You have
crash.
to select an option, you have to select this one option, and
Whereas-
then click a button 5
I
times
clicked
and
almost
wait
every-
half an hour.
Yeah, I clicked almost every major option on it, and I just eventually went, I'm not going to do this on this machine that could actually care about this machine. That's when I fired a VirtualBox and installed it in there.
What it-
Trying to figure out what
It's
to
like
do.
it's like expert mode or something
Yeah.
like that.
How about the upgrade process change?
FedUp, didn't have the old one running, so I just
Okay.
created a new VM and just installed it at the top.
FedUp didn't like me.
I did 2 upgrades and they were okay.
Third one though.
Well, I had issues with my main desktop at home. So what I finally did is I just decided to go 64-bit on it and just reinstalled from there. So
So is Fedora using a new installer? Is that it?
yeah, they changed the installer with 18. It's essentially a single screen installer. So you got to click on everything, and
Sucks balls.
they took a lot. One of the reasons why it was delayed was because of the installer. And ideally, they should have just shipped the previous version. In my opinion, there it's on video. Because 19 is going to be out. They're not pushing 19 back. But it'll probably be May or June. So.
Is there any way, like I have a 64-bit machine and for some reason I downloaded the 32-bit ISO. Is there any way to upgrade it to 64-bit without having to do a complete reinstall?
Not easily.
Okay.
I mean, you can play with some of your yum settings and change your art,
Yeah.
but it's like
Not going to.
I would
Expert
advise
mode.
against it.
Back it up before you start playing with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one wonderful thing about having a server in my bedroom. Rsyncs every night.
Hey, image it and then do it in virtual
You should
view.
get cancer.
Yeah, do it in virtualization. See what happens.
Say, John,
Yeah.
got a question about virtualization. I'm not a real, my background isn't in development or engineering, but I did work in the IT department for a few years, so I think by osmosis I got a little bit of the info and kind of I did, the business modeling part of it for the developers and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I've got a virtual boot with Ubuntu and Windows 7. Okay? If I wanted to install OpenBox on that, I mean, would there be any reason to do that as, in a non-business environment? Would there be any reason to do that if I'm already running, dual
Well, you're
boot?
dual booting, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, isn't the theory of running the virtual system such that you've got one OS, but then you've got guest OSs?
Right.
I'm not real clear on that. And if you're running a guest OS, I assume you have to have a license in that install media also, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you would basically, if I had just Linux on a machine, like I've got a couple laptops that just have Linux,
Mhm.
I could install VirtualBox on there and then install a version of Windows, basically.
Yeah. Like in my example where I only use it for taxes,
Yeah.
that's the sole purpose of my VM.
Okay.
And I can move it, since I reinstalled my machine, it's still there. I mean, I still have my same home partition hard drive. I don't erase it, but I could move it to my laptop if I wanted, because I'm not physically, because of the virtualization, that environment is the machine.
What does it do? A different partition or what?
It creates usually like a big file on disk, and then installs everything.
Disk image.
It's a disk image.
The only thing I found that I need Windows 4 anymore, really, I run it about 4 times a year, maybe for a few minutes. And the only thing I found that I need it for is for my Garmin Movie to get the maps updated. So,
I've been there.
So,
Yes.
I thought, well, maybe down the road, I'll just do that. I assume I can do that then through OpenBox, right?
USB gets interesting virtualization.
Yeah. Pass-through.
I know in VirtualBox,
Yeah.
you can, at the bottom of the window, there's a USB icon. You can right-click on it, and it'll show you the list of your USB devices. You can select it, and that's you're essentially passing it off to the guest for main control. I did this a long time ago with an iPod to put music on it as a test, but
Sounds like it was painful.
it was. I don't remember the program we used on Linux to do it. I remember that when Apple would do a database change, it would fuck it up. So I haven't had an iPod now for 5 or 6 years. So. But
That's just me.
no, it's called Samsung.
And would OpenBox or VirtualBox, or is it?
Yeah, VirtualBox.
Would that be considered maybe the most newbie or user-friendly?
It's pretty much,
Yep.
you select the OS, you click next, you select what the hard drive name is, you click next. So yeah, it's pretty.
Does that have any connection to Oracle, that product?
Yes,
Okay.
because it used to be Sun, now it's Oracle.
See, I usually just use the VM player. There's a couple options.
I mean, it's great for if you want to test out different versions of Linux, just to see.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can just point it at the ISO you download, just say boot, start up a machine and point it at the ISO. And it'll run like your live CD and you can play with it.
Yeah, so far I've just created a bunch of partitions if I want to run 4 or 5 other,
But those are like only when you reboot to go into them.
Yeah.
So you best be using Grub as your. Maybe running DOS in the end? Really? For a specific application?
Yeah, I had to make a bootable USB to do a firmware update.
I do Pixie with free DOS.
Really? That's cool. I have my first flash drive I bought, I still have, it's a 64 meg flash drive. It's DOS boot with partition matching and various motherboard updates, and that's pretty much it. That's all it gets used for. I mean, it's slow, but heck, 64 meg is bigger than most hard drives of the day it's working with, so.
I have a pen built.
Yeah, but what?
I have an old pen built into my flash drive that's just sitting there.
Oh, there you go. You should always at least have something that's self-bootable that you can do motherboard updates. I don't like the motherboard updates that require Windows to do the updates. I am not got some Dell 1425s, and they're all like A01 or A02, but I need them at A03. So that floppy always stays in the drive. I just plug it in and say, okay, I'm gonna pull another one out of the closet. Let's update it. And those are tricky because you have to tell it from the command line when you do the installation. Like it's OS, you say no DM RAID, so it doesn't use the, even though you had it turned off in the BIOS, it still tries to do it. And gives you that long hash of a name for a hard drive.
May I have another general question?
Sure.
Maybe for the group? Because, by the way, my name is Greg Ernst.
Why don't we go around the room and say who we are? So I'm John. That's Craig. Kevin.
Kyle.
Kyle.
Kelly.
Tom. Aaron. George. Ben.
Yes.
System 76. Nice. Okay.
Well, let's kind of that. Well, yeah. Have you guys? Has anybody here tried to install Linux on a machine that's already got the latest, the UEFI and stuff? Without disabling UEFI secure boot?
This machine didn't have secure boot. It was before the secure boot specification, and Intel would really be in trouble if they would have made that motherboard with secure boot. But
Yeah, that is the whole new thing because of all the new machines. I have not. The only thing I've bought in a lot. The only thing I usually buy from a store, like a pre-made machine, is a laptop. I've always built my own desktops. I've never really bought a pre-made desktop before.
The reason I ask, I belong to this one other computer club in Omaha called Sluggo, which is sort of a general computer club that mainly deals with Windows, and now they're starting to get into, I'm trying to get them into Linux a little bit more, and they're doing all the the tablet stuff and everything too. But they're just trying to understand better what the options are out there. And what do I do? I showed them how basically with slides, how to install Linux, but they're saying, well, I got a Windows 8 machine, and I didn't really want to get into that, with a group that isn't real familiar with it.
Well, then they can download VirtualBox and try it inside. That's a great way for them to use
their
it.
feet wet.
Yeah.
That's how I got with it. That's kind of how I started to get my feet wet. Of course, being told to figure out how to deploy this software. Also got your feet wet.
That's a good idea.
Tell you, there's nothing learning the hard way when you use Pico on your password file. Yeah, that's learning Vi, right? Yeah, pretty quick after that. That was my rookie mistake at my first corporate job.
You didn't make it back then?
Of course, I did not know that would happen. I went from comic book shop to corporate, so it's a
I've
big
actually
jump.
seen somebody right click paste passwords on many machines and get it wrong.
Yeah.
Got no idea what they put in.
That's why I don't edit any files anymore without making backups.
That's the one reason I've only had to hand-edit a password file once, and it was to change a UID.
Remember that?
So when you upgrade it, if you
do that
do a
anymore.
fresh install, what do most people do? Because what I do is I don't usually format my home, so my home's always saved. I make a folder called Lifeboat. I put all of Etsy in it, anything in user local bin, and any extra stuff that might have been in /ruin. Then I do the reinstall. I didn't do that this past time. I kind of was in a hurry. So my nicely crafted NVIDIA configuration file disappeared. So as a consequence, my middle mouse button stopped working. It doesn't paste anymore. It's very frustrating.
Tar is your friend.
Yeah. So I moved the mouse to my laptop to test the hardware, and it wasn't working there either. But my Bluetooth mouse works. So, I guess the button's broken on my mouse. I'll go buy a new mouse. Same works fine. It's a unifying adapter, so I'm thinking it may be the touchpad I have hooked up that might be causing issues. Although when you use X input, it says, you know, here's all the buttons you have. You have 19 buttons, and they're all active. So if like on a mouse you have 1, 2, 3, first button, middle button, and then the right button. So it says it's active, it just doesn't do anything. And it's only on that one desktop. Every other machine I have works fine. It's just really weird.
Like GPM on there, anything good?
No, it's not running. I suppose I can turn it on.
Say I usually do a P to V nowadays. Firewall nowadays, P to V it,
Mm.
put it on hard drive.
But you can always go back into it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, when updating a computer, like I said, I always sync my laptop to the other machine in my room.
You are syncing the home folder, is that what you're doing, the whole thing?
Pretty much, yeah. So, you know, log in, install, reinstall, install all the software I need, make a list of what's most important, and just about all of it's available in the repos. Half the time I copy my repo files over.
I would usually do a dump of my RPM database too, like once installed. Kind of depends. My Mythbox, I'm usually a little bit more protective of settings. Anything else you want to talk about?
I have one other question.
Sure.
Recently, the president of our club had a HP laptop that he got, a terrific
Bargain?
You know, terrific bargain. Yeah, one of these. I think it was like $299 and 17-inch. So, you know, thought it was a pretty good deal, and it was while it was running. You know, so something happened. He messed up his hard drive, and I gave him a live CD.
Try to get his data off.
Yeah, Parted Magic. And of course he didn't have the BIOS set up so that it would,
Boot from it.
recognize, the
Sometimes, I know in the Toshibas you can press F12 and it'll pull up a boot menu.
well, on those,
Yeah.
yeah.
It depends. I don't know what HP's
think
is.
it's
It's like
F3.
it's usually sometimes it's 8, 10, 11, 12, somewhere
I
around
think
there.
it's F3.
F3 on the HPs?
Yeah, I've had to do that a couple times.
No?
No, on HP.
Maybe it's not. I don't remember. It's
No.
been a,
It usually tells you when it boots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick before it kicks over, it'll tell you.
Yeah,
what-
but they throw those graphics up anymore that you can't see.
They usually still have those at the bottom.
Yeah.
So item A, look to see
Well,
what.
what I was gonna suggest to him, he's still playing around with it, so it's like, and I haven't used Parted Magic all that much, because I've really never had that kind of issue. You know, one reason I like it, it loads entirely into RAM, so it's real fast, and injects the CD and.
Yeah, Clonzilla does the
Yeah,
same.
yeah, it's really kind of cool that way. But I've got to look at it and see which application on there to recommend that you use to try to recover those files.
Typically, you just use the file manager from any live CD.
Yeah.
Copy the files to a USB drive.
Yeah.
Done that 100 times.
But if he's messed up his.
He's probably messed up
thinking
the
he
boot
messed up-
record on the
Yeah,
machine.
some, his partitions, messed up his.
Well,
they
if
call
the
that
partition table is messed up,
yeah.
then you're not really going to be able to see much.
Yeah, that's.
There's some tools to recover.
Yeah, there is. There's even a tool to do like SD cards if you accidentally delete your pictures.
These are not really deleted.
Nope.
That's
That's fun to run on old flash drives somebody gives you. Find all sorts of things.
Yeah, somebody suggested something called Derek's Nuke and Boot or something
Boot and
like
Nuke.
that. Boot and Nuke.
But that will just erase the whole thing. That's a destruction
Yeah, that's-
method.
Yeah.
That's before you recycle.
Nuke.
That's if you don't want anything.
Yep. And you want to guarantee you're not gonna get anything.
Well, not guaranteed.
Unless there's government in your name somewhere.
No,
No?
it's getting tougher and tougher. That's because of the SATA drives and solid state drives. Solid state drives, even using Derek's boot doesn't necessarily do it anymore.
Good point.
Oh, you
Now
bet.
with the SSDs.
Who's using SSDs right now? In a Linux partition?
Anyone
or-
using flash drives? You're using the SSDs.
Say at work, we use the Fusion IO cards.
That's nice.
They do use those.
So Aaron, your Chromebook that's just solid state.
Chromebook's no longer with us.
What happened?
It's a throwaway item, it's okay.
It is a throwaway item. It is a throwaway item. The Chromebook is dead. Well, the screen's cracked on it, and without the screen, the Chromebook's largely useless because HDMI, there's a lack of ports.
Ouch.
It actually dropped about 5 inches onto a concrete floor, which was enough apparently to break the screen, which says something wonderful about the build quality of the Samsung Chromebook.
But that's okay, now you can go out and pick up the Pixel.
No.
I don't want to get into that discussion.
No. This is a little out of my price range right now.
Linus just bought a Pixel and he thinks it's the greatest thing he's ever had.
Who?
Torvalds.
Where does Linus work? Google.
Someplace in Portland, isn't it?
Yeah. Linux Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought he lived in Seattle.
Portland.
Portland.
Portland, yeah.
I didn't think he worked for Google.
Yeah. Why do you ask about the SSDs?
Because I'm considering swapping mine out of my hard drive
For a
to
desktop?
my desktop.
We use it for servers,
Yeah.
but we never mount the bar partition. It's always mounted on a real drive
Spinning.
or a network drive or something. But that's a really good way to wear out an SSD.
Yeah.
On a news server,
I
4 days.
bring it up
That's better.
because Seagate announced that
We
they're
wear
gonna-
level crap out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Seagate
I did
is
that on
going
RAM
to
drive.
stop making 7200 RPM laptop drives.
Yeah.
They still make 5400.
Why?
For
But-
cheap machines.
No.
Yeah, it's cost. So,
Hybrid drive.
yeah, they announced some new ones of that today too, like the 3rd gen.
Well, the new
Hybrids.
iMacs got some very nice, those hybrid drives, those are very cool.
About your
Somewhere I read an article
areas
about,
SSDs.
Oh, yeah.
doing with DIY.
I just wish it was a different name. It sounds
Yeah.
like some kind of a.
Yeah, you can do that. I've got one when I heard from
Yeah.
You take a regular, a storage.
SSD, STD, it sounds the same.
And Mac
Yeah,
OS X
one's
turned into
fast
hybrid drive
and
for you.
one hurts.
Rate it up.
I said it didn't work.
I'll let you decide which is which.
Apple knows what's best for you.
Considering the cost of those SSD drives, it hurts. Actually, I don't realize it, but there's 4 terabyte drives on. HGST has some 4 terabyte drives up on Newegg.
Wow.
Of course, it's
Yeah.
$440 on sale.
Have you guys seen the Western Digital Red drives?
I've heard about these things.
Red.
Yes.
They're
really-
audio, well, they're actually intended for RAID storage.
Okay.
And they're cheaper than the blacks. And they have a better lead time between failures than the greens supposedly. Except if you go out on Newegg, some guy ordered some and 50% of them were bad. They were DOA. So I don't know if they've resolved that.
No offense,
They're
but
a lot
my
cheaper.
history with Western Digital drives is they're loud and they fail often. I've just had
And they're hot.
zero luck.
I have a black in my laptop.
Like I said, that's been the history I've had with those things, and over the last 10 years, 12 years, I can't in good conscience put them in a machine.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too.
No.
I would only
Blacks
ever
and
get
reds,
Seagates,
maybe.
so I always bought.
And I've had great luck with Seagates, but then again, I've talked to some other guys, and they'll swear.
And they're always, it's always the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah. I like
They
the
swear by
Koch.
Western Digital, they hate Seagate.
Yeah.
I like Kochis.
Is it almost like AMD versus
Intel?
Yeah, but everybody will say the Hitachi Death Star.
That's right.
The Death Star 75.
I've still got a box of those. You can't even give them away.
Oh, so at
Right.
Infotech,
That's
by
what-
the way,
That happens.
we are going to have
What
2
you
Teslas,
do is you take
as
them
you
out
could
and take
look
it
at.
and destroy it.
You can't drive it, but I'm sure you can sit in it.
Are you sure you?
It's okay, you won't go very far.
I want to say yes. So, one of the neat things about the S is the door handles. when you walk up to it with your key fob, the door handles come out from the car because they're recessed for aerodynamics.
Wow.
And I didn't get a picture inside because there's always people in it when I was there. But there's a 17-inch display in the dash.
Yeah. What the?
It's all like this, all touching everything. So that'll be
Exactly, that was my first
fixed
thought.
or repaired daily at some point. Unless they've come up with some cheap way to keep making touchscreens that are 17 inches. We'll see.
You would wanna own one of those in Minnesota, would you?
No. Especially
But
not
I mean,
this
it
year.
looks pretty cool. They had all sorts of T-shirts, so it's like, there's no prices on them. It's like, if you have to ask.
Yeah, it's a standard.
So,
Are you guys familiar with the co-founder of Tesla?
which one?
Well, there's a, I forget what his name is. He was on,
There's Elon Musk.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
him, that's him, that's him.
There's also SpaceX.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's incredible.
He was in
He's-
Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Just a cameo.
I mean,
So was Atlas.
it's like he's a,
Oh God, that's right.
he's like this
Or
almost
really?
eccentric genius or
Yes.
something, you know, it's like
Yeah.
the stuff that he's working on. He doesn't even want to talk about one or two of his brothers at all, but.
And didn't he get into a fight with the New York Times?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's out here and who's gonna.
Remember, I heard somebody the way somebody said it was, they're not only a car company, they're a media company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Twit.
That's right. So
Thanks to that, man, it's one of my favorite podcasts.
it's pretty cool.
Which one? D-Twit?
I'm going to stop recording now, and we can talk about other things.
Happily say the only reason I use one.
So thanks for coming.
I'm in my Zen server machine.
There was some channels in
Damn
there.
it.
I checked.